My name is Eric Guilmette. I am 27 years old, and I am a full-time model, actor, and fitness coach. To get to this place in the world in my life, I have come a long way. I'm originally from Boston, Massachusetts, but I'm now living wherever and whenever I am, mostly in Los Angeles. But that's taken me all over the world and all over the country, even during the middle of this pandemic. Living a life that I really love living, actually living, not just in autopilot. So that's what I'm here to tell you my story about, and I'm happy to be on.
So, Eric, what do you think people's first impression of you is?
Because of my aesthetic and my look, I oftentimes do get oh, he's probably a douchebag. Like because that's just sometimes if you see a picture of me, if you go through my Instagram, which I'm sure you took a peek at, and you just see beautiful pictures of a model, you'll be like, oh, they're probably super superficial and they're like frat boyish and whatever. And so honestly, I get that as a first impression before people like Google me or Instagram me before they meet. And that's unfortunate because there's a lot more love that's beneath the surface, which we just kind of talked about off air.
So, tell me about what people say once they get to know you then.
Once they get to know me, I have been called a burnt marshmallow. And what that means is I have a hard exterior of, again, that aesthetic, but I'm all soft and ooey gooey on the inside. I am a big love ball, and yeah, I'm actually a genuine warm-hearted person. So I would say that everyone who actually knows me, that's what they know.
That is so funny because that's what I get called.
Burnt marshmallow?
Well, not the burnt part, but a marshmallow. That's
Yeah.
because it's got that rough, like crusty feeling exterior. Um, you put up your guard, but then when you get to know me, I'm a softie inside, and I just want to know about people, and I genuinely have a big heart. So yes,
Isn't
that's
that
so. I've
isn't
never
that
heard
the
anyone else.
best?
I know. I'm so excited. I've never heard anyone else be referred to as that. So I feel better about my life now.
Yeah, no, I love one of my favorite things to do is literally just to kind of like open people up and just go a little bit deeper than, make them actually like kind of learn about themselves, which I'm sure you can relate to. You talk to someone, if you can kind of disarm them a little bit and you get in there a little bit, then they actually learn about themselves because they say things out loud that they've never said or like said to people, and like within 5 minutes, some people will literally be like, oh my God, I just said that to you. I don't even know you. It's like, it's awesome. I love that.
I agree. And I think that one of the things that I get asked is, "Oh, why do you do these shows? What drives you?" And honestly, it's like you said, it's the responses that I get from the people like you who sit down and talk to me and send me messages afterwards, not even when the show is aired, but even before. And then once the show goes up on YouTube, they say, I just watched that and I can't believe I did that. I feel so empowered. I'm not used to talking about myself. I am usually so shy. It felt so good to be heard. Like all of those types of comments. So, yeah, I feel you. I'm 100% in.
Yeah,
So,
and talking about yourself in like a judgment-free zone and like a just a way that you can be yourself. You can, because it's very hard in society to find a time where you can talk about yourself. You can actually self-reflect to someone else and would do that without judgment.
yes, and I'm of the opinion that more places in the universe need to be judgment-free zones. I feel that sometimes we're our own worst critics and we judge ourselves often more than others judge us, which doesn't allow us to be open to someone else.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely, absolutely.
So let's get back to you because this is, after all, your story. You said something in your introduction that I want to touch on and have you expand on. You said that you are truly living wherever you are, and kind of came off to me that it's very authentic that you are, presenting as a genuine person and taking every day and being in the present. So, did that come from somewhere? Is that something that you had to kind of stop and say, I'm not living my best life? And did something happen? Or are you just on this amazing journey that just has you smiling, rocking, and rolling and just being you?
Yeah, no, so that's definitely a loaded question. So I'll try and answer it as best as I can. So I have, like I said, I'm from Boston, Massachusetts. I have a finance and mathematics background. I actually have a degree in math, and I worked in finance for a little bit. And I hated it. And literally, I got a job in corporate finance. Within the first week, I knew, I was like, I cannot do this. I'm going to die if I stay here for too long. And during that process, I started making my own online fitness coaching business. And once I was making enough from that business that I could walk away from finance, I did. And then I booked a one-way ticket to Australia with my ex. We traveled the world for a few years together. And then a long story short, we went through this journey together, traveling together, and then I got back to we got back to America, and eventually we broke off. I've told this. I don't want to go too deep into this part of the story, but I've told this in a little bit more detail on other interviews. But we broke off very all of a sudden, and I moved down here to Southern California, and I didn't know anyone here. I literally moved down here pretty much on a whim of I want to go somewhere that I think will make me happier. I know there will be opportunity for me, but I know it'll be a little uncomfortable because I don't know anyone and I don't know the area or anything. And when you put yourself in an uncomfortable situation like that, you're forced to grow. I knew that. I knew that as soon as I went somewhere that there was going to be opportunity for me, that it was going to be so different than what I was used to, I was going to grow. And I came down here, and I literally, the day after I moved here, I booked my first shoot as a full-time model. And then like 2 days later, booked another one, and 3 days later, and it's built and built and built and built. And during that process, I did so much self-growth and self-reflecting, and I started programming my brain to just live in every day and enjoy every day. Because, not to say I wasn't doing that before, I literally have traveled to 27 countries. I've had an amazing life. But before that, I was so focused on getting to the end goal. I was always like, all right, I want to be at this amount of money, I want to be at this amount of followers or whatever. And then once I moved here, I was like, you know what? I'm just going to learn to enjoy every day, be happy, and I'm going to let that path take itself. Because if you enjoy every day, that path is going to grow. It's going to go in the right direction if you let it. If you don't, if you resist it and you just are so focused on the end goal, you're going to lose sight of yourself along the way. So I started falling in love with myself, which I know is weird for some people to say, but I literally fell in love with myself and my life, and that's gotten me to where I am today.
I believe in everything you just said, especially the falling in love with yourself. We touched on this a few seconds ago, but you can't be something for someone else unless you're that for yourself. So you said you've traveled to a ton of places. That sounds incredible. What else is something that would surprise people to know about you?
Um, whew, Surprising. I am a reader and writer of poetry. I really have a poetic side of me. And again, first impression, if you just saw a picture of me, you'd be like, "Huh, not a chance," But I really love poetry and writing in general, and just anything that brings good energy to me, I usually do, and that's a good energy thing for me.
I love the depth to you. I love all of the things that are inner working in your brain. First of all, I love math also. So the fact that you have that background and is probably lent a little bit to your success and your motivation to be able to calculate, even though it may not be numbers, but be able to calculate the facts and figures and the risk and benefit. And tell me a little bit about that as it relates to your journey.
Well, what's funny is being a math brain, I had to kind of pull a little bit of that logic side of it out of how I think. And I had to start just making decisions, not all the time, but making most of my decisions based on just general feeling and energy. And it's such a hard thing to get yourself to do, especially coming from like, the engineerial mindset. But because I allowed myself to actually just feel what energy feels like in the moment. And does this feel like a good decision? Can I morally sleep with this decision? Should I do it? Yes. And that's how I've actually gotten to where I am now. Like I mentioned, the end goal was such a big focus for me in the past. I have a bodybuilding history. I used to be a bodybuilder as well. And when you're going through bodybuilding, the entire thing is getting ready for that one time that you're on stage, and you're a little bit miserable along the way because you have to go through so much dieting, so much training and all that. And once I stepped out of the bodybuilding realm and I just became a model and just started loving my body and loving my life and everything, it all changed. And it's now led me to the place where I can genuinely say I love my life, I love how I feel, I love just everything around me that I surround myself with.
I love hearing that. And I feel like self-care and self-love are top priorities. You
The
mentioned
top,
that
at the top.
100%. You know, you mentioned when you talked about moving after parting ways with your ex and kind of getting to an uncomfortable place so that you could get comfortable with yourself. And it spoke to me in terms of living in the present and being present. And talk about how you really live for today. Talk about what that means to you.
Yeah. So one thing I love about being a full-time model is every day is different for me. Every shoot, like yesterday, I was in Palm Springs for a shoot. Today, 2 days before that, I was in Austin for the weekend for a shoot. 3 days before that, I was in Miami for like a week for shoots. So it's like every day is different for me, and I love having a new life experience every day. Like I learned so early on in my journey that I cannot just sit behind a desk and do 9 to 5 every single Monday through Friday and just live for the weekends. That's not me. I just live for whatever day it is. And again, that works for me. I know that not everyone likes having, some sort of regimen, some sort of schedule. I don't even have a schedule. And I've talked about this on other interviews too. My schedule is a notepad and I don't concern myself with what I'm doing, 7 days from now on my calendar. I just look at what I'm doing today because I want to make the most out of every single day. And yeah, it hasn't been like a easy journey to get to that mental being. It took a lot of work, and just like you work to you study for a subject or whatever. I really worked on how my brain works and how I think, and now I just really have a pretty good positive mindset all the time. Obviously I still allow myself to feel things, because feeling sad sometimes, feeling angry, feeling is good. That helps you. If you just sweep everything under the rug and you're like, oh yeah, there's nothing wrong with my life, it's like that ain't gonna work. It's all gonna come back and bite you in the ass at some point. But if you allow yourself to feel and you just do your best to hardwire yourself to be present, to be happy, you'll be happy.
I agree. I think that feelings are okay, and a lot of times we can be afraid of our feelings because they're strong, and strong feelings come with happiness, but strong feelings also come with discontent. And so, if you can process both of those, I think, like you said, you can learn to stay present and mindful. And being mindful about ourselves is very important. People think of mindfulness as about others, but you really have to be mindful and treat yourself right too. What do you do to relax? You're always on
um
the go. Like, what does it look like when you actually get a minute to sit down like this?
I am always on the go. That's absolutely right. What's great about my job is it never feels, again, it's hard work, but it doesn't feel like work. So I'm kind of relaxed. Like I'm always at like a level 4, in terms of energy. I'm always chilling at like a 4 to a 5. And so I'm pretty relaxed most of the time. The only time I get out of relaxed is when I'm like in traffic and the Boston comes out in me and I'm like, move. But besides that, for relaxing, I do a lot of meditation. I do yoga. And also meditation doesn't just have to be, like sitting cross-legged, like, you can meditate by just literally going on a walk on the beach and just, disconnecting yourself from the rest of the world and just walking and just letting your mind go to places that you otherwise wouldn't go to. So I do a lot of things for myself. Again, self-care and is everything. I go to the gym every day. I make sure to try and get 8 hours of sleep when I can. And, doing all these little things that everyone takes for granted is really a big part of my regimen and my day-to-day process.
Did you ever think that you would be a model full time?
Absolutely not. No, if you knew me in college, like I said, I was in a finance program in college that was very intensive. I had to wear a suit every day. We were managing the school's endowment fund for what it's worth, and we were actively trading it. And I managed a team of people for 2.5 years. Well, I was a part of it, and then I managed it when I was in college. It was very stressful. It was very like but it was a lot of fun, but it was like you had to love money to really be in that world. And once I graduated college, I realized I didn't love money enough to be in that world, and I cared about myself more. And yeah, I never thought that I would be a full-time model. Everyone always was like, "Oh my God, you should try modeling." And I was like, "Yeah, yeah, yeah, whatever." And I did part-time modeling when I was bodybuilding because people want to take pictures of my body, but never did I think that I was going to be here. And that's why, like, I didn't resist it. Once I got here to Southern California, I was like, I'm in the place where I should do it. So I might as well give it a shot. Let's see if I like it. And I ended up freaking loving it. And then now I just love it every single day. And it just has built to this thing where I just feel good in myself in my own skin every day.
So since you brought that up, feeling good in your own skin every day, was that always the case? Was when you were growing up, did you always feel good about yourself? Did you always feel, like you said, comfortable in your own skin, confident in the way that you looked and felt?
Yeah, I mean, well, actually, when I was like younger, I was very shy. And then as I went through like high school and all that, I broke out of that and I grew up, and I started to become confident in myself and more confident, and especially with bodybuilding, I became very confident in my physique. But the only thing about bodybuilding is that it has a negative connotation of you're always trying to improve something. And not to say that that's a bad thing, because we should always be striving for a little bit better, but it almost forces you to not love what you look like in any given moment, except when you're on stage, which is such a process to get there. And again, once I stepped out of that realm and I just actually fell in love with what I look like, and I was like, oh my God, I look amazing. Like, I should really just like love the fact that this is like what I do, and how I feel and everything. And like, now I've been coaching online fitness coaching for 6 years now, and I help people with that, like, of being happy with their life, with themselves, but just making small improvements. Because again, if you're not happy with yourself, if you're not happy with your life, then what are we doing this for? No one ever talks about the happiness and the freedom of your job and the flexibility of your schedule and all that. Those are honestly, I think, can be argued as the most important things, because if you don't love what you're doing 70% of your week, and having that flexibility, then it's like you're not going to absolutely love your life. If you hate what you do most of the time, or you're just not happy and you don't have flexibility of schedule, then it's like, oh, this really is it's a struggle. So that's one thing that I learned very early on, is I want to be able to have the ability to live a life where I have flexibility and freedom of mind and all of that. Yeah.
Work-life balance, in the life part in
Balance.
capital letters.
Yeah, it should actually be life work balance, because
Agreed. Agreed.
everyone always puts
Absolutely.
work first, and it's like, no, life should come first, work second.
Agreed. We have one life to live, so let's live it. Um, we have talked about some incredible things, and you have shared so much about your philosophies and your journey to this, as you described it, this freedom to travel and get paid for doing it, and to smile and share your smile and get paid for doing that. I think that's an amazing accomplishment, and
Thank you.
I want to just invite you to share anything that we may have left out before I ask you the question to close out this conversation, which I don't want to do because I'm loving it so much.
I guess one thing before we close out is, for anyone that's listening, again, from you listening to this, I want you to find some positive in this. And if there's any positive that I can give you, it is to love yourself a little bit more today. So whoever's listening, I want you to, if you're near a mirror, if you're in your car, don't do this while you're driving, pull over. But if you're home and you're in your bathroom, just look at yourself in the mirror real quick. Just find one part about your body or your face, or you can even look through your body that you see on the inside that you love, and genuinely just focus on that and just feel good about it, and just say, I love X. I love this part about me. I love my lips. I love my smile. I love the warm heartedness that I can see through myself, and just do that and say it out loud to yourself. It's okay to be a little weird and say things like this, but take time today to really focus on something that you love about yourself, and do that every single day. And imagine what you could do after a month of doing that. You'll feel freaking amazing about yourself, and it will continue to grow. So self-love, that's my message before we close.
I love that. I'm going to do that, by the way.
Good. I want you to.
No, I totally am. As soon as I click buy. um,
Perfect.
So this has been a really fun conversation, and I'm honored that you took the time to sit down. Like I said, and you've mentioned a few. I know you do a lot of podcasts, and you share your story and your incredible journey through positivity and life change. And I'm honored, like I said, that you sat down to share with me and now with this audience. Um, as we close out, as you're traveling around, modeling, walking your meditations on the beach, having dinner in an LA restaurant, sitting in your car in traffic. If you had the opportunity to hold up a sign that says one thing about you, what would you want people to know about Eric?
I would want people to know, well, so my word is bliss. If you go to my Instagram profile, at the top of my profile, it says bliss. And bliss is perfect happiness. And if I would want anyone to know anything about me, it would be that I have bliss. I've found my bliss. I live in bliss, a blissful state every single day. And for anyone that reads that sign, I want you to as well. And I want you to work on that. So if you know anything about me, it's that I have a lot of love. I have a lot of happiness, but I also love sharing it. So I want to share it with the world and whoever hears this coming through their sound system.